One thing we have to contend with pretty much every single fall is, of course, frost advisories. Now, luckily, we haven't had one here the past couple of days, as we have had temperatures in the upper 30s, but not near enough and not cold enough to reach that threshold. But I wanted to still talk about what causes frost and look at the different types of frost, because, believe it or not, there are multiple different types. First and foremost, by far the most common, we have radiation frost, or hoarfrost. This happens on clear sky nights, winds on light and calm side, and air temperatures at or below 36 degrees. And 36 is kind of that magical number because we record 36 degrees at around 6 feet off the ground. Now, our ground continually loses heat as the night progresses, as infrared radiation radiates off from the surface. And with clear nights, well, there's nothing acting like an insulator, so all that heat just goes right back into space. Now, winds are a really important term for this, or at least a really important part, because if we had any sort of wind, well, that warm air that is just above the surface will move overhead and mix in with that colder air, keeping air temperatures at or above that freezing point. Well, with a combination of all three of these, well, that is when we get temperatures at the ground or at the surface at or below 32 degrees, allowing frost to go ahead and form on most of our plants. But of course, we have other types of frost. Next one up, we have advection frost, and this happens as a very cold body of air moves over a warm surface. Now, the warm and moist surface typically has, a good amount of moisture in it, and as cold air moves overhead, that's really when you get a lot of that to go ahead and freeze. And the cool part about advection frost is typically it goes away from the wind. So we have a northerly wind, we typically see frost form on the southerly side. Kind of the same idea happens when it comes to our window frost. And if it comes to windows on our cars, or of course on our actual houses, well, we have an imbalance of temperatures, as our indoor temperature of either our cars or our houses is going to be warm and quite moist. But on the outside, we have that cool, dry air. So we have condensation. That condensation freezes, making it just a little bit annoying heading out the door in the morning where you're looking through a frosty window or, of course, a frosty windshield. Next up, we have rime frost, and this one actually plays a major impact in travel safety, as instead of cooling from a moist air mass, well, this actually is coming in the form of super cooled water droplets. So instead of straight air freezing, it's water droplets, and that could play big havoc, creating a lot of ice where ice really shouldn't be. So a lot of times when we have freezing mist or freezing fog, well, it forms rime frost, and with it we have ice on our roads, telephone poles, and overall does not bode well for any sort of travel across the state line. Last but certainly not least, we have black frost, and while yes, that's technically called black frost, typically we don't really see it, or at least we don't see that frost form, because there's really nothing to form, as there's no humidity whatsoever when this occurs. Instead, it takes the water that is actually inside of plants themselves, and because temperatures are below 32 degrees and well below that freezing point, well, that moisture freezes inside of the plant, likely going ahead and killing them. That's why black frost is also referred to as a killing frost. So overall, a lot of different types, and generally this time of year is when we should be having our first frost, with temperatures our normal lows down into those middle and lower 40 values. Now, generally the first half of October, again, pretty much right where we're supposed to be at, but looking ahead at the next couple of days and the next week, overall, not looking too bad. So if you have any plants that are outdoors, for the most part, they should be good to go and should go ahead and be safe.